Yeah. All right. We are live on
Yay.
Facebook. We are live. Welcome, everyone. I am so excited about this interview tonight. I am getting to interview my friend and mentor, who is she's become a really good friend and is always there for me. But she is a motivational speaker. She's an author. She's got a podcast starting very soon in February, and she's really always impressed me with her just unique ability to get me thinking about things differently and to get unstuck. So there's so many people, I feel like this year, Danielle, that there are so many people this year that are not quite excited about January. You know, there's so much uncertainty in the world, and I'm there. I'm ready. I'm ready for change. I'm ready for a new year. So, and I think a lot of it is listening to you. So I really want to hear from you, Danielle. Thank you so much for being here. And everyone, please smash the heart button. That helps us to get the algorithm going, helps us to get this message out. I want people to hear what Danielle has to say. Share it with people. That also helps. And also, let us know if you're watching live. Let us know where you're watching from. If you're watching on the replay, do a hashtag replay, or just say replay and where you're watching from and when. That would be awesome. And so Danielle, I would love to hear from you talking about mindset. You're so good at teaching this, and I would love to hear like how it's changed your life. Well, like what things were like for you before you started doing this work, and what it's done for you now.
All right. So mindset, I've been doing it for about 15 years, mindset training. I jumped into it because my mindset was really poor. I started to realize that my life wasn't the way I wanted it to be. And I kind of serendipitously met a woman she was just one of my clients. Back then I had a beauty business, and she said, you need to meet my sister, because we were sharing our stories. And she's like, you need to meet my sister, which is a woman in Brantford, Connecticut. And she's like, this is what she does for a living. She helps people kind of get unstuck. Because I was in a pretty dark place. I was definitely not happy with where my life was. And I felt that this was going to be my life. I believed the lie, the false mindset that that's what my life was supposed to be. And that was in my early 30s. So I met with the woman, and it was 3 hours of I literally left with all of my makeup running down my face. And it was an incredible meeting, but it was very, very painful and powerful at the same time. And she said to me, you renew your mind and your whole life's going to change. She goes, you don't need to think or marinate on or look back on the things that have hurt you, but your mind is diseased. And when we change your thought life, you're going to have a radical shift in your life. I so believed her based on her story, which I won't get into for time's sake, but because she told me how horrible her mindset was, how bad her childhood was, and all the things she went through, and how she had this literally overnight, this shift in her life that became almost magical. I was like, I want what she has. And if she's telling me this is the way, I'm going. And so I jumped into it. She gave me homework that night. She told me to listen to Battlefield of the Mind by Joyce Meyer. I did. It was on CD back then, it was on CD back then. And I started to listen to it. And I realized, wow, my mind I'm constantly talking negative to myself. I think negative. I feel negative. You don't consciously sometimes think it, but when I started to listen to the training, I was like, oh, there's so much I need to rewire my brain. And I just went for it. And really quickly, things started to shift. And I was like, okay, this is, it's almost like, is this really happening? Are good things starting to happen to me? And I started to realize, and I didn't know back then it was the law of attraction. I didn't know that, what you speak is what you're going to call in. I didn't know all these concepts that have literally radically changed my lives and tens of thousands of lives around me. But I just went for it. And so for me, it was digging in. It was really deep, dark, and it was hard at that time. And I just decided, I don't want to live like this. So therefore, if there's a way for me to fix it, I'm going for it. And that's when I see the most progress in people, as they come to me and say, I'm going to do whatever you tell me, because I've seen a shift in you and I've heard about this of other people. So if there's a way for me to have some control in my life and actually make a difference that's going to shift me over to winning instead of losing, into victory instead of feeling like a victim, I'm in. And that's what I now do for my whole life, is teach people mindset. Oh, I lost you as far as I can't hear you.
Sorry, I forgot Jen.
I was like, no.
That is, I think there's so many people that are feeling that way, but they don't know that there's a way out, right?
Amen.
They just
Right.
they become complacent with it, and they think this is just the way it is. Like you were saying, this is my life. So this is why it's really important to me. And again, everybody watching, smash the heart button, get this out on the algorithm, share it with your friends, because people need to hear this. People need to hear that there is a way out and that they have control, that they're more powerful than they think, right? So what would you say to listeners that want to get, that are like, okay, there's a way, how do I get started? What do I do?
First, you have to be really honest with yourself and be like, I am where I don't want to be. I don't want to live like this. I'm willing to be coachable. I'm willing to be open to suggestions and to lessons and to advice from coaches who have been there. Don't ever take advice from a coach who hasn't been there financially, physically, you name it. Don't hire someone that hasn't been there. But you have to take an assessment. And if you're already there, you're like, Danielle, I get it. I totally resonate with you. Then you've already checked off the first box. But then what you need to do is actually dive into the resources. And one of the things that one of the top thought leaders in the world, Tony Robbins, I haven't been to any of his events. I have plenty of people who have. I've read a few of his books. One of the things that I learned from him was net time, N-E-T, no extra time. So as a busy individual who I run multiple companies. I now have 5 children instead of 2. I'm remarried. I have a busy life and I have a lot going on. One of my businesses is in like 9 or 10 countries. So it's very busy. And so I learned that net time could really change my life without having any extra time. So net time is no extra time. And all you do is dig into some of the resources that I suggest to you today. And you do it when you're on the treadmill, when you're in the car, when you're in the shower. So I keep Sonos on in my house. We have the Sonos speakers and I stream stuff. I put on anything and everything, Les Brown, Bob Proctor, and I drill it in my brain, because now 15 years later, I've been able to build an empire. I'm not knocking, being self-made. I love being self-made, but I'm really not self-made. If you think about it, I'm made by my coachability and all the people who I've allowed to pour into my brain. I've opened up my brain and said, please help me rewire myself. So I decided I wanted to think like the most successful people in the world. And if you listen to them, Peg, and you know this, their stories, you read Les Brown's story. If you've never heard of him, go Google it. He literally was abandoned with his twin brother in a warehouse. Back in the 30s, 40s, I don't even remember when it was, but I'm talking about literal abandonment. Was told he was mentally retarded. Those are his words. That's what he was called in school growing up. And he's one of the greatest speakers in literally now and in the history of this world. And he's one of the most influential men on the planet. He has changed lives all over. So I decided, well, I want to learn from him. I want to listen to his content. I want to listen to Bob Proctor. I want to shift my diseased thought life over to happy, good, healthy thoughts. And it's not about thinking positive. It's really not. It's about rewiring your brain, which is what my whole podcast is about. And that launches soon. And I want to help people dive into the resources. So the second thing is dive into the resources, be super open and coachable. And the third thing is give yourself some gentleness. Be very gentle on yourself when, like Peg, when you said, beginning of the year, a lot of people are having a hard time feeling positive in this climate right now with, pandemic and all kinds of craziness going on. And I'm never going to lie to anyone who is around me. I'm very authentic. I had a real struggle towards the end of the year, not because I wasn't looking forward to the year, but I'm like, wow, I really have to stop thinking about when this is over and just go for it now. So I had to actually shift myself. I had to coach myself, just like I've coached myself for years now, on when my brain or my thought life does shift over into negativity, which happens to everyone. You're just going to get better at it. You're going to have less and less negative thoughts as you become filled up with this stuff and rewired. But there's times where I need a little talking to, and I give myself a coaching, and I'll turn on whatever on YouTube and I'll stream it free just to listen to the stuff so I can take my mind off of the negative and start shifting myself back into the powerful thought life that helped create my life. So don't think for a second that you can't shift your life overnight. You absolutely can, but you got to jump in with both feet. You got to use no extra time. So you have no excuse not to do it. turn it on in the car, do whatever you can, but make sure while you're cooking dinner or you're driving your car, you've got that classroom on and you're listening to this stuff. And literally you're going to start noticing things that happen that are super powerful.
Yeah. I love that. You know, when you were talking about Les Brown, he was labeled, right? But
Yeah.
he didn't, but the reason I think he was able to break free of that or be defiant of that label was that he had someone in his life say, no, you're not.
He
No,
did.
you're not.
Or like I did. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's so much the people that you're around that
Yes.
can lift you. So that's why I think for me, that's the first step. That's been the first step, is getting around people like you, this woman that you met, who can lift you up and wake you up and, you know, make you realize this is not your destiny, you know, and being able to be defiant of our surroundings, of the current environment, or, you know, I was listening to Ray Higgins talk about being defiant of, you know, don't get rid of all the junk food in your kitchen. If somebody's got it there, be able to walk through your kitchen and not eat it. You know, that's defiance, right?
That's right. It's discipline. It's defiance. I do want to say though, just for those of you who are like, all right, I'm going to jump into this. Make sure you're listening to people who give it to you straight, whether it's somebody that you're listening to on a podcast or it's someone in your life. If someone's being really gentle with you and not telling you the truth about where you're at, they're not a good coach. They're not a good mentor. There's a way that I deliver what I'm seeing. If someone asks, I never give unsolicited advice, but if someone asks, what do you see that I need to work on? I first ask them what they think. And after spending enough time with them, coaching them, if I see something that I feel is possibly a block for them or holding them back from that next level, right? From winning more, from earning more, from doing more, from thriving more, then I'll be like, okay, so here's what I see. Does that resonate with you? And 99% of the time, they're like, oh yes, I need to work on that. And it's like, no, you don't need to go, you need to go, if it's coming up, that means it's a gift that you're actually recognizing that this is one of the blocks that you're going to work on and get rid of. Then another block will come and you'll be like, oh, I need to get rid of that, and work on it a little at a time. The beauty of mindset is you'll start to see your life go upward. Even if it's a process, even if you haven't finished doing all the work, I'm still a work in progress. I'm not looking for perfection. Perfection is literally what's a road to depression and anxiety and feeling less than. What I work on every day is trying to be the best version of myself and improving myself in some way possible, and then helping others do the same. Once you start to have these little victories, it's going to create a momentum and a fire in you to gobble up more. And I have so many people who send me testimonials and text messages and emails saying, do you understand how much my life has changed just because you introduced me to this stuff? And I'm like, I was introduced to it. So I'm just paying it forward, passing it on, but don't beat yourself up. If you've had the worst childhood on the planet, if you've had the worst relationships, marriage, if you're struggling with parenting, if you are not feeling like you financially have ever been able to do something with your life and you feel stuck or you feel like you're drowning, there absolutely is a way without any cost whatsoever. Don't hire someone. There's plenty of free everywhere, or spend a couple bucks on an Audible book and download it and listen, because what's going to happen is you're going to start peel back the layers and you're going to notice that really good things are happening to you. And it's addictive. I love it. It's not a perfect process. It's a discipline. I still have my moments, but I have become so much more adept at when a negative thought comes or when I start to feel like, I'm sitting in something, I know how to recognize it and just say, nope, I'm going to say the opposite. Even though I feel this is happening, I'm going to declare the opposite. And I use that to call in more of the good that's out there. Everyone is destined for greatness. You were born for it. You weren't born for nothing. You have a real purpose God put in you. You're not going to find that until you get rid of all that stuff that's been in you, that programmed in you from a young child. Anything you saw that was negative. The world is negative. The TV is negative. The news is negative. Of course, we're going to get programmed incorrectly. You're a blessed person if you've been around family, friends, and parents who actually spoke like I speak now. My kids didn't have this either. I didn't have this. But you can't look back and say, what if, and coulda, shoulda, woulda. You take control now and get in the driver's seat and do something about it. And it's really not hard. It isn't. It's just an amazing thing.
It's like pulling the weeds, right?
It is.
To let the beautiful flowers grow. And I'm sure
Yeah,
you have like an alarm that goes off in your head that's, when you get that negative thought.
absolutely. My
And
kids do it now. All of our kids do it. They'll be like, I don't receive that. Delete, delete, cancel, cancel. What you just said was negative. And we're like, well, we're kind of grounding you, so you can't delete that. However, you're right. We shouldn't label you or say certain things. So we have 5 kids who actually all have, because they've been around it long enough, are learning this. And I'm so grateful that they're learning it in their teens and 20s, because they're going to be much more powerful, productive adults than me, my husband will ever be. And it's a blessing, because we're supposed to take these children and make them productive adults and put them out into the world to do great things. But if we haven't got our crap together, how are we going to be able to put great kids out there who become great adults? So it's really one of those things where don't strive for perfection. Just start doing the little things every day. During non-free time, remember, you're at no extra time, that are going to start feeding you and rewiring your neural pathways. I could get into the science and the physics of this, and we don't have that kind of time. There's real science behind it. I'm going to give, if it's okay with you, I'm going to give them a few things to jump into. Look up Dr. Caroline Leaf, Leaf as in Frank. She's a neuroplastician. She's a faith-filled woman. She has amazing books and even on YouTube, you can find her, and she talks about how thoughts are things. The book Thoughts Are Things by Bob Proctor changed my life. Change Your Words, Change Your Life by Joyce Meyer. Battlefield of the Mind by Joyce Meyer. Then there's books on millionaire mindsets. If you're an entrepreneur who feels stuck, there's so many cool books that literally are written by people who went from the pit to the palace, who literally went from stuck and unable to make it in life and actually had real victory. And the common theme for all of them is that they changed their mind. They learned the power of words. They learned that they had a choice and that they could attract in the good, because what you sow is unfortunately, what you're going to reap. So be careful what you think and speak, because your subconscious mind hears it all. And the minute your subconscious mind accepts it as truth, good or bad, that's going to be what your tomorrow is going to manifest. So a lot of cool stuff that we can teach you. I'm sure we can do more of these. I just want to get you guys to dig into Les Brown. Go online and just go to YouTube and put the word in like I do, motivational speeches. And then scroll down to the one that Eric Thomas, when I need my butt kicked and I need literally to get myself out of funk. Eric Thomas is amazing. He's very hardcore, like he almost yells, but he's got this, it's like he's talking to a football team, a coach. I love that. And on certain days I need Les Brown, who's gentle and he laughs, but he says things that are super powerful. And some days I need Joyce Meyer, who she just straight to the point, she doesn't pull any punches, zero filter, love her. It depends on what you're in the mood for that day, but Bob Proctor is great. And there's so many amazing books that have changed my life. I have a whole book list that I recommend to people, but first just dig into the free stuff. Don't worry about spending cash. Don't sign up for seminars yet. See where this gets you. Spend 15, 20, 30 minutes a day. And I promise you will start to become so excited about what's going to happen the next day, the more you change your mind. So.
Awesome. I love this. And if anybody wants Danielle just mentioned so many resources. It's amazing. So what I would suggest is message the person who shared this broadcast with you. They'll get you that list. Right? That's something that we can definitely give you as a gift today, that list, because that list will change your life for sure. I learned something just recently that I try to practice when I say something, when I catch myself saying something, I try to say, if I followed that with, and that's exactly what I want, I wouldn't say it. Right. If I say something positive and that's exactly what I want, I'm safe. So
I love that. And just a little tip for you guys: when you say when this happens, stop saying that. No, if I ever say something out of my like, well, if that, I immediately stop myself. I go, when that happens, this is going to be an amazing thing. I don't say if anymore. I declare it. I believe that it's mine. And if it's what's meant to be, it comes right to me. And if it's not, something better is there. And you have to trust that. There's so many universal laws that we're going to teach you over time. And I'm going to have them on my podcast as well when it launches. The law of non-resistance is a huge one for me in my life. When some door is closed and it seems to shut like so tight that I feel like I'm forcing something, I have learned not to force it. And then always, not once in a while, always something better comes. And now that I know that law, I don't fight certain things. I really, truly accept that the reason why something that I'm hoping for and pushing for isn't happening is because something better is coming. And whether it's 2 weeks or 2 months later, I literally always go, oh my gosh, that's why that didn't happen. Because this was waiting for me, and this was waiting for our family, or this was waiting for one of my kids. And it's a powerful thing, the law of non-resistance. I gave you a little nugget there. There's a lot of amazing laws. There's 11 laws that once you master them and you work with them instead of against them, you'll really start to see your life take on a whole new, exciting chapter. You're going to be pretty blown away. So I'm excited for everyone. Go after it. Don't sit in bed tonight with anxiety. Don't worry anymore about tomorrow. Just go after what you can control, which is your thought life. And the rest starts to fall into place.
I love the law of non-resistance. I really want to, I'm very excited to hear more about this. So how do people find your podcast?
So we launch in early February. It's somewhere between February 8th and February 15th. So bear with me. What we're going to do is actually, the studio's all done. You can see it behind me. Everything's ready. We've got content ready to go. I just have a company that's actually editing and putting everything together right now. There will be a website that's not ready yet. So I will post that on social media. I will put that on my page, Peg, if you want to put it on your page when we launch, but it'll go out to the world. And we have some really cool offers and really cool things that are going to be giveaways. And it's just all about helping people live better. And especially now after me having COVID as bad as I did, and after everything that happened with my mom last year, I know all that happened for a reason. Once again, law of non-resistance. It was horrible. It was scary, but it taught me a lot. And I recognize now that I needed to have those things happen for me to think and live even better than I did before. Like, I don't waste a minute anymore. I say no when I have to. I've learned to set boundaries. I'm becoming a better version of myself because of some of the bad things that have happened. And so that's another thing we'll teach you, is that sometimes when these bad things are happening, it's because it's to take you to the next level in life, but you've got to be open to it. And believe me, when I was really sick with COVID, I wasn't like, well, I'm open to this. I was really like, oh my gosh, I can't breathe. But I did learn when it was over, and actually in the midst of it, that there's so many things that aren't important. There's so many things I worried about or thought about that never meant a thing. And when you're that close to hospitalization, or some of you have already been through it, where you've had either COVID or you've had a near car accident or a bad car accident or something happened, and you really wake up to the fact that God is telling you, or if you don't believe in God, the universe is telling you that it's time to let go of the things that really don't matter and take each day and live the best version of yourself, go out and make an impact. And don't live broke. There's nothing wrong with doing well and having abundance, but more importantly, money doesn't fulfill you. I enjoy doing well in life, but what that money and that time freedom gives you is the ability to make an impact. And when you start doing stuff like that, you have real fulfillment and purpose in life. So I'm talking about the end game here for you guys. Let's dig into getting your minds really rewired and get you feeling good about what's coming, and really declaring good things in your life and expecting blessings, expecting to have favor everywhere you go, expecting good breaks instead of always saying, oh, not for me, or I had such a hard start in life. I was that girl. I had one of the most diseased mindsets you can imagine. And when I realized that I needed to take control of those thoughts and that it could bring good things and it wasn't going to cost me a dime, I was like, I'm in and I'm living proof. So it's a wonderful, wonderful way of taking this year, regardless of what's happening in the world, and really making an impact and doing something really incredible for you, for your kids, for your family. But first of all, for you. Do it for yourself. Don't do it for anyone else. Start to love on yourself. I had a hard time even loving myself for years. And now I know it's not ego when you love yourself. It's important to love yourself, or you can't give to others. There's so many cool things I want to teach you guys, but this is just a little taste of it. And when the podcast does launch next month, I'm really excited about it. We're going to have every podcast is going to be on the website, and then hopefully with enough activity, it'll end up in the Apple store. So that's not hopefully when that happens.
When it does. Exactly. Well, listen, for now, everyone follow Danelle Meoli. Her name's right there on her screen. And I want Danielle, I want to thank you so much for taking your time. I know you are an incredibly busy woman, but I also want to blow everyone's mind right now who doesn't know. I actually get to work with this woman. So, and she's about to hop off of here and do a presentation about what we do together. So if you're interested in hearing more from Danelle or knowing about what we do together, I actually just wrote this down. I don't know if you can see that. It's nulfreedom.com. Or get in touch with the person who shared this with you. Hop on with us. It'll be a 20-minute presentation that Danielle's going to do, and I'm looking forward to that. So, Danelle, thank you again so much. Everyone, thank you for joining us. And
thank you, guys.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Daniela,
al fin llegamos.
Para el público en vivo.
Juntos.
La consentida de papá.